In the previous history, we explored where Ubuntu's Snap packages and its phone-based sister solution called Klik apps came from. And if you've never dug back into the history, it's easy to think that Snap, AppImage, and today's history, Flatpak, are really the only types of solutions Linux has to offer when it comes to getting applications and not really caring how they got there. But that couldn't be further from the truth. Earlier attempts like Autopackage by Mike Hearn back in 2002 attempted to solve the problem of applications being fully dependent on the underlying system. Or in other words, avoiding dependency hell while still successfully launching apps. While Autopackage isn't around in its original form today, what with it merging with Listaller, an install and manage everything app, and then eventually becoming part of AppStream, a cross-platform attempt at streamlining software installation, its essence can be found as a building block in Snap, Flatpak, and AppImage. So if you squint just right, all three of the solutions to our little problem are just re-implementations of the same technology with slight differences, as it always is in open source. Flatpak has its roots in an attempt by Alexander Larson to recreate an existing solution called Klik. No, not Ubuntu's Klik. This Klik starts with a K and ends with a K for KDE, but avoids some of the pitfalls and limitations. It was called Glick. Oh yes, when the focus is technology and solutions, naming always takes a back seat. But it could also be that the very first version of this was imagined on a beach and put together nearby. It was a quick hack, but Larson hoped that it might give the Klik developers some ideas and maybe influence their second version. But it didn't stop there. A few days later, more hacking ensued, and 0.1 and 0.2 versions were released that solved a lot of the initial problems. Over the next few weeks, but surely with thoughts and touches here and there, Glick fell to the back burner. It took a few years, 4 to be exact, but Glick was now nearing a version 2, and it got a more friendly front-end name, Bundles, which made a whole lot more sense and got its very own demo video. Initially, Bundles worked a whole lot like AppImage does today, and that makes sense as Klik, the initial inspiration for Glick and its bundles, is the predecessor to AppImage. The idea was simple. You would download a single bundle file, which has everything in the actual application you'd want to run bundled within, stick it in the apps folder, and it was then, in air quotes of course, installed on your system. This is very much the way applications work on Mac OS. The experience makes sense and might even be described as intuitive to folks that have been on desktops and laptops for a while. It also solves a lot of issues that even modern Linux still struggles with, like mismatched library versions, everybody having a different set of underlying system components, a slim possibility of running the same application at different versions, and many more little oddities. At the time, Larson said of the larger problem,
I imagine a system where the OS is a well-defined set of non-optional core libraries, services, and apps. The OS is shipped as a read-only image that gets loopback mounted at the root partition during early boot. So not only does everyone have the same files, they are using and testing exactly the same bits. We can do semi-regular updates by replacing the image, keeping the old one for easy rollback, and we can do security hotfixes by bind mounting over individual files.
And applications then start to take shape on this new idea.
All applications are shipped as bundles, single files that contain everything, libraries, files, tools, etc. the application depends on. Except they can, optionally, depend on things from the OS platform. Bundles are self-contained so they don't interact with other bundles that are installed. This means that if a bundle works once, it will always keep working as long as the platform is ABI stable as guaranteed. Running new apps is as easy as downloading and clicking a file. Installing them is as easy as dropping them in a known directory.
So not only do you have Glick and bundles as an example of how application can be separate from the underlying system forming here, you have the fledgling idea of what we know today as an atomic desktop, which aligns closer to modern mobile devices. And while regular folks that don't care much about the how of the application can check out of that entire conversation, for them, we can boil it down to download this thingy, put it here, and now you can run it. But of course, any idea worth using will always have folks wanting to debate its merits, and this is a good thing. Adam Williamson defended the already existing packaging systems by noting that bundling libraries defeats the entire purpose when you duplicate libraries the way these bundles will.
That's the point of a library. It's shared code, so we only have to update it once to fix all the applications that use it. If we have to update 30 different bundles when we fix a library bug, what's the point of having libraries at all?
And then Larson responded,
Sure, updating libraries and apps is more work in a bundle world, but due to a large degree, it's solvable by better tooling. In my opinion, the large system where everything interacts is optimized for the distro packager, not for the actual users of applications. It's somehow more important that we have 0 wasted bytes or wasted effort during packaging than actual user getting an application that he can use.
Glick and bundles were certainly a good idea. Linux needed a solution, but it wasn't meant to be quite yet. Over the next couple of years in the run-up to 2014, as Docker and other container solutions began hitting the market, Larson had been working on bringing Docker to Red Hat, and with his new container experience, took another look at this whole software building thing, and by the end of the year, a working solution was found. It was called XDG-App, and relied on OSTree, the same technology found in the Fedora Atomic OSs, and was, yes, another very Linuxy name.
The name XDG-App was just something I picked for the first commit without much consideration, and it was not very good. However, names are hard, and we spent a lot of time trying to come up with another.
A few months later, GNOME Software gave XDG-App some legs by allowing applications to be installed as almost any other app. And in May of 2016, the XDG-App name was shed and replaced with Flatpak, the name we all know today, at version 0.6, and brought along a friend, XDG-App Helper, which was meant to do the security sandboxing. And shortly after, XDG Desktop Portal came along to help applications break out of their sandboxes for specific tasks. All of this, along with the last release of 2016 in December, version 0.8, which just happened to be a stable, long-term release, got it accepted into both Debian and Red Hat Enterprise Linux, which meant that it immediately had penetration into some of the most popular downstream distributions around. And of course, there's always Arch support. The press release that landed a few weeks later noted that Fedora, Endless OS, and the software company Collabora were all on board. At this point, while you could easily crack open the command line, use the Flatpak commands to search around for your application of choice, or even use the fledgling support and software managers shipped with desktops, there wasn't a clear way to go get applications for the uninitiated. But the answer wasn't far away. FlatHub, the central repository for applications, made its debut in mid-2017 ahead of the 0.10 version release that would show up in October. While GNOME Software already had support, KDE's Discover found its support of Flatpak 2, marking a huge milestone in ease of use across the 2 most used desktops in the Linux ecosystem. The following year, Flatpak saw its first major version milestone at 1.0. Larson noted,
With 1.0 out, I expect the rate of change in Flatpak itself to slow down. Going forward, the focus will be more on the infrastructure around it. Things like getting 1.0 into all distributions, making portals work well, ensuring FlatHub works smoothly and keeps growing, improving our test suites, and working on the runtimes.
And that's largely stayed true. The core and supporting tech was mostly already built, and now the work to get everybody on it truly begins. But it didn't really take much convincing. Early adopters of containerized apps had largely already picked a side, for better or worse. Slowly but surely, big application developer names were jumping on board. In 2020, Firefox issued their official Flatpak build to FlatHub at version 75. And in 2022, OBS, the screen recording and streaming software, announced their official application would live at FlatHub as well for all Linuxes. The following year, though, saw Ubuntu, one of the largest Linux distros, pull back on Flatpak support by not allowing their flavors like Kubuntu or Ubuntu Mate to install it out of the box in favor of their own solution, Snaps, but didn't prevent anybody from going out of their way to add it later. This did mean that flavors like Xubuntu, which were shipping Flatpak by default, would need to pull back too. However, that wouldn't affect distributions like Linux Mint and Elementary OS, which are downstream of Ubuntu and added support for Flatpak years ago. Also that year, Thunderbird, the well-known open-source email client, was added to the ranks of officially official on FlatHub. Over time, more and more applications will officially add themselves as a Flatpak over on FlatHub, but at least to me, it's clear that of people that actually care where their apps come from and don't mind the containerized type, Flatpaks from FlatHub are the clear winner.
You can catch all the great topics as they unfold over on our Lemmy subreddit and our news channel on Discord. We are all over the place on the internet, and if you want to find where we are, you can type linuxuserspace.show/thething. So Lemmy, Reddit, Discord, Mastodon, Telegram, the list goes on. We're pretty much everywhere, and we're at Linux User Space. That's where you'll find us.
Absolutely. So join all of those places, any of those places, one of those places to keep up with the happenings and have a conversation and do all of that kind of stuff. One of the things that I know that I'm getting really close to doing is getting everybody gathered up for a Civilization 6 game.
Ooh.
Yep. I haven't forgotten. I promise. And I actually did do a test run of it.
Okay.
It seems to be a little flaky when you get it started. Like everybody has to be there at the exact same time. Time zones are going to suck. But if we can get it all started, then it's basically just a Steam notification or email away.
All right.
Apparently, with a little bit of work, you can even get a Discord webhook where there could just be a Civ channel, and then it just reminds us. But I don't think there's like an easy way to do that. I think you would have to roll a bit of that yourself. But
maybe I can help you out with that.
Okay, you heard it. Dan said he'd do it. Okay.
Whoa. I think I said help.
Okay. Well, if you're interested in Civ, join one of those places, preferably Discord, because I think that's where this thing is gonna.
That'll be a great place for it to live, honestly. Yeah.
Yeah, if because gaming, right?
Right.
But also that webhook thing. If we can get that implemented or whatever, that might be the easiest place to see when it's your turn. But anyway, I'm planning on doing more of that stuff, getting more of this stuff together, doing more community things, especially since it's summertime, and sometimes that means we go on break. So anyway,
and I got one of those little portable devices that Steam stuff. So I mean, hello, I can take that wherever I go.
And Civ runs pretty well.
It does run pretty well.
Matter of fact, Civ runs on everything.
It's almost the new Doom.
Pretty much. I think I haven't successfully run it on a literal potato yet, but I'm working on it.
Yep. We'll get
maybe. The multimeter says no.
Okay. Yeah, that's fair.